Right, no Championship check-in podcast this week, but I do have Sam on the back end of the predictions recording. And Sam, you were on co-coms for Sky TV on Friday night for a brilliant win for Plymouth against Luton. That's a year one parachute team. They beat league leaders Sunderland. The forecast was absolute doom and gloom. Everyone told me Wayne Rooney, Ben, will be sacked as Plymouth manager by October. Well, it is Monday the 30th of September. Plymouth are those two great wins. They are over the magical point per game, which we know is very likely to get you survival in the Championship. So, is Wayne Rooney proving the doubters from pre-season wrong?
Yes, I think so. Nationally, absolutely. The people that don't necessarily follow the Championship, the people that are just stuck in this Premier League bubble, there's, I think, a lack of appreciation maybe for him. I don't know exactly why. I think sometimes, his reputation, because he ended up on the front page of the newspapers a few times throughout his early career and his playing days, this reputation seems to follow him around rather than celebrate one of the best players we've had and one of the best goal scorers in this country. And also on a kind of personal level, when I've seen him do his punditry, for example, I know I'm digressing a little bit here, but I think it's important to start with this. When he does his punditry, it's easy for him to go on and give the cliches and not do his homework. But I think he talks really well about the game. Doesn't need to give you the tactical insight and talk about the patterns of play and the way a team's pressing. But I think he really did that in the summer. So I've always really enjoyed listening to him, and everything I'm hearing from current players and ex-players, that he's very much an open book and very likable, and there isn't an ego there. So I think, it's important to get that out straight away, and that people should be behind him and hopeful that one of England's greatest players can be a successor at management. Why aren't we like that in this country? So that's the first thing. I think, of course, given his track record, though, Ben, when you look at what he did at Derby County, obviously with Liam Rosenior, there was some good stuff there. Enjoyed watching them. Derby, I thought I said it on Friday night, they were quite a sophisticated team in terms of the way they wanted to play, especially the way they wanted to play out.
Bit overly methodical sometimes, weren't they?
Maybe, yeah, possibly. But I just thought it was a bit surprising, given it was his first role. And then subsequently, DC United didn't go particularly well, and Birmingham obviously was a nightmare. But the circumstances, if you look at Birmingham, a club that has been shambolic on and off the pitch, probably in the second tier for a decade or so, in comparison to Argyle, who have been pulling up trees, who had two safe pairs of hands in charge of the team at the back end of last season, feel good factor staying up, obviously down to the wire. A lot of the players that remain from League One success, he's going in and inheriting a squad where it's quite a happy camp, I would suggest. So, I think when you look at this job on its merit, it was very different to what he inherited going in at Birmingham, which was a bit of a no-win situation. I was really interested to read through some statistics in the lead up to the game the other day, that Birmingham's stats in terms of their high turnovers and pressing had completely flipped by the end of Wayne Rooney's tenure, from one of the bottom teams in the Championship to top three, which I'd completely missed, passed me by. So statistically, they were evolving, stylistically, sorry. The results obviously weren't following, and given what John Eustace had done at the start of the season, it was probably right that they made the change and rolled the dice, because he wasn't getting a tune out of that squad. So I think there is a clear and concise tactical plan that he wants to go with. And I think on Friday night, you saw that. You saw that they're trying to play. Absolutely. You see that they've got a goalkeeper in Grimshaw who's comfortable with the ball at his feet. Two centre-halves who are developing a really good combination at the moment. Where did I have it scribbled down? We're going to be calling him Cornell Such. So it's kind of like got a D in there. Him and Gibson look really good together, albeit a couple of like little slips and moments where they did give the ball away on occasion. So they'll have to just be mindful of that, and naturally it will improve the ability to play out and into midfield and when they can and can't do it. So that's kind of a little bit of teething problems, but yeah, really encouraging those two. I think one possible problem area is those fullbacks, especially Mumba and Edwards, just love to go high. Incredibly so. Edwards in the second half was down on my flank, and JB did a wonderful job filling in for him, which I highlighted a few times, one of the midfield players. But I think teams will look to win the ball back and play in behind those fullbacks of Argyle's. So that's something for them to be mindful of, and where I think opposition players and teams could possibly hurt them. But yeah, there was so much to like about the performance. It was exciting, it was attacking, and they've got now some brilliant options when you compare, the flair players and front players of Argyle to some of the teams that they're probably going to be fighting with this season. To see Al Hajj do that on his debut was real eye-opener. You love a player who's got that technical quality, skill. In that first 45 minutes, he wowed me. He really did. You pay to watch players like that. It was a bit, not akin to what Eberechi Eze is now, but it was that type of stuff, the flair and the swagger.
And to take Sissoko out, who we'd really liked, and put him on the bench.
Yeah, well, he was the player I wanted to highlight pre-match, because I just think when you've got that dual-pronged threat of Whittaker on the right, who Argyle fans will tell me teams have been doubling up on, doing special jobs. He's not been able to affect things pretty much in comparison to how he was last year from that wide berth. But if you've got Sissoko to worry about on the other flank, it's a problem. And the game opened up a little bit for him to get his reward the other night with two brilliant goals. So yeah, it was a masterstroke from the manager. I didn't think it particularly worked brilliantly down the left first half with Mumba, who is not a fullback really. That's another potential problem to flag here when we're talking about Argyle's chances of survival or better this year, the left back position. I'm not sure Mumba's going to be the long-term solution there. And obviously Galloway coming on is more of a centre half. So it's a bit of a problem area, albeit Galloway did well in that second period. So I'll see how it evolves on the left-hand side. Obafemi, I think I said again, looked like a centre forward, doing a bit of a job wide on the left. Had some good moments, had some moments when he looked like a fish out at sea, if that's a phrase. But do you know what I mean? It was a bit of a hit and miss performance, but obviously the manager got his tactical setup spot on. That was a very long answer, a few minutes there. Was I negative about Rooney when he got appointed? I think I was, probably, on the back of
I think we tried to be balanced. I understand why Birmingham fans think he's like the worst manager in history. I get it. I understand that. And I understand why Plymouth fans are then slightly overly defensive. Give him a chance. It's not unreasonable to doubt him after what happened at Birmingham. But I always think you've got to be a bit open-minded and an open book. And the thing I was thinking about when you were talking, Sam, is that amazing 100-point Stephen Schumacher League One champions team that beat Ipswich, that then went straight through the Championship. It's not that team. Cooper was arguably the best player in that team, and he's lost the keeper. And you're starting to talk to me about JB and Al Hajj and Obafemi and the centre-back's name, who I can't... He's got quite a good hybrid between using what the 100-point team had and what he's doing. And as well, Sam, the one thing I must mention, you've got to leverage that unique location and home stadium, haven't you, as well, if you're Plymouth manager?
Yeah, absolutely. And they'll fully be behind the type of football you saw towards the back end of the first half. For 20 minutes or so, they controlled it. Let's get it right. Luton had, some chances, some big chances, and the more confident Adebayo certainly helps himself to a goal or two. So I think they'll have to improve to a degree defensively. But I think, and this was similar to my kind of thinking yesterday watching the Ipswich Aston Villa game, the statistics at this stage of the season are a little bit skewed by the fact that Ipswich have played City and Liverpool. Argyle have played for an hour at QPR with 10 men. They've played at Sheffield Wednesday, the opening day of the season, when I'm sure Wayne Rooney would hold his hands up and say it was one of the most lackluster performances any team's probably ever given. One of the worst performances in recent memory of an Argyle team. Too many new signings. And now you look at it, as you say, with Mumba, Edwards, Hardy, Whittaker, Gibson, Randall, players that have been there throughout this journey, or, a large portion of this journey, that know, the type of football and the type of electricity that the home park crowd can create. The performances of Edwards and Hardy and people like that just help to harness that. And absolutely, he got it wrong to a degree, I think, the opening day. And those statistics, obviously, the amount of shots they conceded at Wednesday and QPR, I think there was, I can't even got the numbers in front of me. Have I got the numbers? Yeah, there was 23 shots in the area they conceded against QPR. So that's why they're, the bottom of some of the charts statistically. But that will improve because they've been in a lot of low margin games since that opening day. There's absolutely 3 worse teams than them in the division at the moment. Far too early to suggest what it's going to look like in the months ahead. He spoke in the aftermath of the game about, they're looking slightly differently in terms of their pressurising at the top end of the pitch away from home in comparison to home park. So that'll be something to keep an eye out for at Burnley, how aggressive they're going to be without the ball. But yeah, absolutely, he's surprising. I think people that don't follow Championship football with a fine comb, and people like us as well that are across the Championship. It's been a bit of a surprise, the speed that they've been able to turn things around.
Very much so. There you go. So a bit of bonus content for you. Just tuning into Sam's trip down to Plymouth's victory against Luton on Friday night. Get your thoughts in on Wayne Rooney. I've got lots of thoughts actually about people wanting him to fail and how flamboyant English players are perceived. And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. I think there's actually a class thing as well when it comes to Rooney, that there's a bit of a bias there, but I'm completely going down a rabbit hole there that I probably don't want to on YouTube. But get your comments in. Is Rooney proving the doubters wrong? I think the answer from Sam is right now, yes.